A year ago, I met Rachel, a 28-year-old woman, at an indie rock concert. Our mutual friend, Mike, introduced us by the stage. She was wearing a vintage band t-shirt, and we immediately hit it off, talking about music and everything in between. The connection was instant, the kind where it felt like we had known each other forever. That night, we swapped numbers, and soon started hanging out regularly with Mike and the rest of our friend group. Over the next 6 months, we developed an undefined situationship, neither dating nor completely platonic, but acting like we were a couple. We texted constantly, shared intimate details about our daily lives, said I love you, and spent weekends together cooking, watching movies, or just enjoying each other's company. It felt like we were in a committed relationship, but there was one catch. Rachel had told me that she needed time to heal from a past long-term relationship before we made things official. Looking back, that should have been my first red flag. During this time, I met most of Rachel's close friends, but there was one who I never met, Sean. She often spoke about him, calling him her best friend. She told me they had been through so much together. He had supported her during her parents' divorce in college, and she had helped him when his mom fell ill. Their bond seemed deep, and I admired the strength of their friendship. When Rachel and I became official after 6 months, she dropped a bombshell. Just a month before we made things exclusive, she had slept with Sean. She claimed it was a drunken mistake at a mutual friend's birthday party, something that both of them regretted. Rachel explained that she wanted to be completely honest with me, which was why she was telling me now. She also mentioned that the timing of it was purely coincidental since Sean was planning to move to the UK for work. 8 months into our relationship, we took the next step and moved in together. We adopted a cat, started talking about our future, and things felt perfect. My family adored her, and we frequently took trips together and had weekly date nights. Everything seemed great, until 3 months ago, when Rachel announced that Sean was moving back to the US. She was overjoyed, and as soon as she could, she began planning a welcome-back dinner for him. She meticulously planned the menu, called it its celebration, and even talked about how much she missed him. The night of the party, Sean showed up with Kate, a beautiful, accomplished British pediatric nurse he had met in London. Kate had incredible stories about her time in Europe, but Rachel's behavior that night was odd. She seemed to struggle to connect with Kate, even though Kate was just trying to be friendly. The food that Rachel had carefully prepared barely got eaten. Each time Kate touched Sean's arm or laughed at one of his jokes, I noticed Rachel's expression souring. She continually interrupted Kate's stories with her own anecdotes about Sean, as if trying to outdo her or prove that she knew him better. After they left, Rachel made strange comments about Kate, saying that Sean usually dated more ambitious women, and that Kate was too basic for his type. At one point, Rachel accused me of having a crush on Kate. That's when things began to unravel. Rachel became increasingly distant. She was always texting someone, and whenever I walked into the room, she would quickly lock her phone or switch apps. She started working late more often, and made last-minute plans with old friends I had never met. Our relationship felt different. She stopped confiding in me and seemed mentally elsewhere. When I tried to talk to her about it, she would dismiss my concerns, calling me paranoid and controlling. Then last week, I received a call from Kate, crying so hard I could barely understand her. She had a migraine and had left work early, only to find Rachel and Sean making out on our couch after a huge argument. Kate confronted them and ended things with Sean right there on the spot. I tried reaching out to Rachel after that, but she hasn't answered any of my calls or texts. Sean has gone radio silent too. Now, I'm sitting in our apartment, surrounded by Rachel's things and all the shared memories we created, questioning whether our entire relationship was a lie. I keep replaying everything in my mind, the late-night calls, the work emergencies, the way Rachel always talked about Sean like he was family. Was I just a placeholder until he came back? To make matters worse, we just renewed our lease last month, and we're both on it. I don't know what to do next. Should I wait for Rachel to explain herself? Should I start packing up her things? What happens with the lease? I feel overwhelmed, lost, and unsure of how to move forward from here. The past few days have felt like a surreal nightmare. The silence from Rachel gnawed at me, and every time I tried to speak about it, my throat would close up, as if the words could never leave. What was there to say in the apartment we once shared, now suffocating under the weight of all the memories? I found myself looking at the smallest things. Framed photos from our first trip, playlists we'd made together on lazy Sunday mornings, even the cat's favorite blanket that Rachel had picked out, and feeling a deep sense of betrayal. Eventually, I decided to reach out to some of our mutual friends, hoping for answers. To my surprise, a few of them were reluctant to talk to me. One of them even said, "I think you should let Rachel explain when she's ready." Another added, "You know, Sean and Rachel have history. It's complicated." That word, complicated, burned itself into my mind. How could this situation be complicated? What had she done that could even be described as such? It wasn't until Kate called me again that I began to piece things together. Kate, ever the detective, had been digging into the timeline of Sean and Rachel's interactions. She wanted to share what she had uncovered, and we met at a small coffee shop downtown. Kate was still visibly shaken as she laid it all out for me. She explained how Sean had been acting strange after our dinner party. His phone was always nearby, and he became overly protective of it, staying out late with work excuses. If Kate asked about him, she'd notice Rachel's name popping up on his screen more than usual. At first, Kate thought it was just normal texting between friends. But things took a darker turn when she stumbled upon Sean's iPad one day. It was still logged into his messages, and that's when she found the texts. The explicit, intimate, gut-wrenching messages exchanged between him and Rachel. Sean had never stopped thinking about her, and Rachel had admitted that seeing him with Kate had made her realize that her feelings for him hadn't faded. They were stronger than ever. Sean had been equally complicit, sending back equally intimate messages, and setting up secret meetups. One text in particular made my blood run cold. Rachel had written, "It's like we never were apart." They had met up several times, including at a downtown hotel the night Rachel claimed to be working late. It was all a lie, a full-blown affair. The confrontation with them at her apartment had come after Kate's discovery, and Sean's excuse was that they had unresolved feelings and needed to figure out what they meant to each other. Rachel didn't even try to explain. Without saying a word, she grabbed her purse and walked out. As Kate told me all of this, I felt a whirlwind of emotions: anger, betrayal, heartbreak. But there was also a strange sense of camaraderie. Kate and I had both been blindsided by people we trusted, and now we were left to pick up the pieces. I thanked Kate for sharing everything with me, but the truth hurt more than I could have imagined. I had been living a lie. The moment I got back to the apartment, I started packing up Rachel's things. Every item I packed felt like another betrayal. Her clothes, her books, even the coffee mug she always used, it all went into boxes. When I spoke to the landlord about the lease, I was told that Rachel wasn't actually on it. Small mercies, I guess. When Rachel's sister came to collect her belongings, she couldn't offer any justification for what Rachel had done. She simply said that Sean and Rachel had always had a deep connection, and maybe they were just waiting for the right moment. Listening to this, my brain refused to believe it. If they had always had this connection, then why did Rachel start something with me in the first place? But mutual friends continued to reach out, urging me to hear Rachel out. Some even going so far as to say that maybe this was fate bringing Rachel and Sean back together. Fate. It felt more like selfishness and betrayal masquerading as destiny. I kept in touch with Kate, and we met up from time to time, our conversations slowly transforming into something that offered some comfort. We laughed at times, vented, and found solace in the shared experience of betrayal. At first, living in the apartment without Rachel was tough, but I slowly began to reclaim the space. I redecorated, moved furniture around, even bought a new bedspread. Not one that reminded me of her. Oddly, the cat seemed to be happier now. Perhaps she had been feeling the tension all along. Kate has been a surprising source of strength. We've talked about where our interests overlap: music, travel, trying new coffee shops. It's not romantic, but it's a friendship forged from mutual pain, and I'm grateful for it. I'm still processing everything, but one thing is clear: Rachel didn't deserve to treat me the way she did. I deserve better than that, and so does she. It's painful to realize how much time and energy I invested in someone who never valued me. But I'm determined to move forward.